Okay, so now that the dial's made, I'm gonna show you how I put it into the manufacturing process so I can cut this out. So the first thing I want to do is save it, right? You can save it whatever you want, put a milestone in there, version 2, whatever. It's up to you. Depends on how you want to version control your stuff. And then we're going to go over here to where it says design, and we're going to go to manufacture. Now that's going to take us into this screen that's somewhat confusing-ish. I kind of worked my way through this. The first thing that I always do is I go to setup and I create a new setup. So we're going to do that first. So we've got our new setup here, and we're going to talk about some of the stuff that's in here. So in this process, we've got a machine type. So this is the machine that I have. I went and downloaded it. I don't know if you need to or not, but I did. So there it is. I never really changed this because I'm always doing milling. And the first thing I do is my orientation. So the one thing that I do is I start with this and I pick which one my z-axis is going to be. And this is just for me, and this might be different for you, and I'll show you a few ways to look at this. But I like to have my z facing up, and my y where the y is supposed to go, and the x where the x is supposed to go. So if you basically come in here and you choose the z, and you come over here and you see this little green line here, and you click on that, it'll put the z where it needs to go. Now if you prefer it the other way, after you select this, if you double click on these, it'll flip-flop things. So see, now the z-axis and the x is, hold on, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and we're going to click the z-axis here. And hold on. And I do want to say that I am not a professional CAD person. So this isn't what I do. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this. And we're going to start over. All right, so we're going to go to a new setup. I'm going to select my machine. We're going to select which one our orientation is going to be here. And I always choose Z up. And that always works out. So that's good to go. You don't really have to select the x-axis. I guess you can if you want, but I never do. Next thing I do is I go here to stock box selection. On some of these setups, and we're going to create many setups, on some of the setups I start down here. So let's hit box point. Right here, it'll give you a bunch of different options of where you want to start the mill head. I always start from here when I do facing, and when I do things that it doesn't really matter, and when I am doing more precision stuff, I start in the center. So I'm going to start right here for now. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to where it says stock, and I'm going to choose what my stock is. Now right now I'm going to cut this out of a piece of brass, and so I'm going to choose a fixed size box. All right, and so we get a couple options. Right now it starts off in the center, right, and it's giving me a width of 30. But I know my width is, we're going to go with, the width is 30, sorry. And the position's in the center, and that's fine. The depth is 1 millimeter. Sorry, must not be the depth. The depth is 30 also. And the height is 1. Okay, so now we're almost ready to close out of here, but right now you see how we're still in the center. So we want to go ahead and say offset from bottom, and then that should make all the, and then see this offset, you want to go 0. So basically the way that this is going to look is all the stock is at the top. Now if you remember, we set it up for a 0.6 millimeter thickness for the dial. So if the stock is 1 millimeter thick and the dial needs to be 0.6 millimeters thick, then what you need to do is you need to take off 0.4 millimeters. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a facing cut on this. So I'm going to click OK, and we're going to zoom out. We're going to click top, and the first thing I always do, because I cannot stand having my machine here, I just get rid of it. So over here you can choose to see things or not see things. So I don't want to see it. So alright, so right here, and we're good to go. Alright, so now we're going to create our first, I guess, milling operation, which is going to be, and this might not be right for you. This might be completely wrong for your mill, so I'm not going to really suggest any depths, speeds, coolant, or any of that stuff, because you've got to figure all that out on your own. I'm just basically showing you how I set this up to mill in my CNC. And I mill these out of copper, brass, sometimes titanium, stainless steel, out of all sorts of stuff. So, and I use different settings. Same processes, different settings. So the first thing we're going to do is under this setup, all right, I am going to try to, because I never do this, never mind. I was going to try to rename it. Let's see if I can rename it this way. Yep. So I'm just going to call this setup face. So now you click on here and you click on the face. So we've got different drop downs here, right? We're going to use mostly these. Well, we're going to use all of these and the drilling option to get this done. So the first thing is going to be a face. So we're going to do a facing cut. Now, I know what I use end mills to do all my stuff. I find that they do a pretty good job. And the way I have and I'll tell you this, the way I have my CNC set up is I have a router bolted to the front of my CNC. So I control the speed of my router and all that straight from the router. It's a variable speed router. So I'm not going to go over any of this stuff. So the first thing I'm going to do is select a tool, right? And I've got some in my library, and this is the one I'm going to use, which is it's a 1/4 inch or 6.35 millimeter end mill. And we're going to select it. And down here, I'm just going to turn the flood off because I don't have any coolant. And it'll throw an error because it knows my thing doesn't, my router doesn't have coolant. So we're going to do that. The only other one that I ever mess with down here is cutting feed rate. You can play with this a little. This will just make it go faster or slower right here. But that's up to you. So basically, when you do a facing cut, you don't really have to mess with any of these others. We'll go over some of these in the next, when we look at our next milling procedure. But I'm going to choose here. And I always almost go with the same settings. So you can look and hover and it'll tell you. So this is how far it goes over top the stock from one side to another. So I will leave this, whatever the stock is, whatever it tells me it should be. And there is no offset. And then the step over. Now this is kind of important. This is how far away does the first pass go from the second pass go to the third pass, right? So we're going to keep it the same here, but we're going to change it in a minute just so I can show you what that does. And then I choose both ways, but you can change this if you want. It just takes longer. And then I choose multiple depths. Now, 1 millimeter for me, for my mill, kind of crazy. So I usually do 0.1. That's going to be my depth that I choose. And I don't check leave stock. So right now I'm going to click OK. And it's going to tell you, it's going to show you the path of the mill and where it's going to go. Right? It's going to start off in this corner because that's where we told it to start. It's going to pick itself up, move over here, and it's going to start cutting back and forth, right? And it's going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 passes. Okay? The problem with that is that you'll end up with a lot of grooving inside your inside your part. So what I typically do, and you can go in here at any time and right click and edit, I usually will go down to, depending on what I'm trying to do, I'll usually go to a 2 millimeter or sometimes even a 1 millimeter to get the smoothest possible outcome. So now, do you see how many more passes? So each one of these, this mill's going to overlap a whole bunch of times, right? Yep. Okay, so, and we'll go ahead and we're going to simulate this. And down here, you just got to hit play, but if you hit play right away, you can speed it up super fast, or you could slow it down, or you can make it go backwards. So it'll just show you. So one thing I can tell you about this is if you look in here, so I said what? It's going to be a max depth of 1 millimeter, right? So if I pull this up and get it real nice and close to the side, if we look at how many millimeters, or how many, I guess, 1/10 of a millimeters it has to go, it's going to have to go in each pass 4. See? 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I had said 0.5, there would be 8 of these. It would be doing 8 passes to drop that down to 0.6. So let's exit the simulation. So that's going to be our first milling job. All right, so I typically do this now because I've got different setups that I'm going to be using. So right here, so this is our facing setup. I am going to right click and do a new setup. And the new setup's going to have the same router, and it's going to have, we're going to go ahead again and choose. Now this is a little bit messed up, so we're going to go to top. And now we're going to go find our part again. There it is. All right, so see how we're kind of set back up where we are? Z's in the wrong way, Y's in the wrong way. We're going to go through the same process. It's already choosing the router, or the CNC. We're going to go and click on that, and we're going to choose our X. So everything lines up okay, but this time, because we're going to do the indices at this point. This time what we're going to do is we're going to start in the center. So I'm going to click box point, and we're going to go here, and we're going to choose the top of the stock, which is, I believe, right here for now. Right there. And that's going to be our stock top, or our model top, actually. But when we finish setting this up, that will be the stock top. So we're going to set it to the model top, and then, we're going to go here. we're going to go here to this, and we're going to change to a fixed box size. Actually, no, relative box size, right? And then we're just gonna, I usually do this. I just put zeros in here, right? And that pretty much, and then stop side offset, we're gonna say 28.5, 29.5, so we're gonna do 1.5, because that's how much is gonna be on the outside, because it's a 30 millimeter border that's gonna be around this thing. So we're gonna do that. You'll see that there's no space. The top of the stock is the top of the model, and then we're going to click OK. So now we are almost good to go. And again, we're going to make the printer go away because we hate it, and we're ready to do our holes. Alright, so how do we do the holes? So we're going to do setup, we're going to do click, and we're going to do drill, large, indices. And that's going to be the name of it, and we're going to choose our first drilling operation. So we're going to go to drill, and I know if we remember back to our indices that we were looking at, we know this is going to be a 0.9 millimeter hole. Okay, so we're going to go back here and we're going to choose drilling drill. We're going to select, we don't want the end mill, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to select sometimes I just go to vendor, it really doesn't matter. I'm just looking for something that's 0.9 millimeters or 0.1 millimeter I typically go with. I may have one in my library. I don't currently. So we can go drill here and then go to vendors. It'll pull up all the drills, and you go down through here and you just find one that's close to 1 millimeter. If you want to get exact, you can. I think you can get kind of crazy with this, but I'm just going to choose for the sake of, let's go 1.15 millimeters. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have a 0.9 millimeter drill bit in there. We're going to turn the flood off. Now we are going to choose this box right here. And this is going to be where we select the holes we want to drill, because we don't want to drill all the holes, we just want to drill the large indices. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this hole, right? And then we want to choose all the ones with the same diameter. So I'm going to click this, and all of them are going to highlight. So you do a real quick check to make sure all of them are highlighted. And then we're going to go here. Now I like to do deep drilling. It's just my preference. And I'm going to do a minimum, okay, pecking depth. On a 0.9 millimeter drill, it's pretty small, so I will go to 0.05, right? Because I don't want it to snap the drill bit every time it does what it does. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And it says the spindle speed is large than supported in this machine. Do you want to ignore this? And I'm just going to say yes, because I don't care. Because it doesn't matter. Because I control the speed. So here's the route, right? So if we watch what this does, we're going to go ahead and simulate. And pick this and go here. You'll see what it's going to do is it's going to come down and it's going to peck at this thing until it pecks all the way through. just like that. So we'll go ahead and we'll exit the simulation. I wanted to look at something real quick here. Perfect. Okay, so all right, so that's going to be our large indices. Now I'm going to make another setup, right? So I'm going to go here and go to a new setup, and this setup's going to be for the small indices, right? Here, 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 here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to pick everything the same. That's the same. We have to go in here and we're going to have to do our whole setup. This is kind of important. So we're going to do that, and we're going to pick the stock box. And the box that we want to use is right here in the center, right there. And I'm just going to use the same one as before. So we're going to use the exact same one as before. And again, we want to go ahead and suppress the machine because it's horrible to look at. And I like to reset my view now and again. We're going to do the small holes, and we're going to do them the exact same way we just did the other ones, except for we're going to use a 0.3 millimeter drill bit. So we're going to go to drilling. We're going to select a drill bit that is the appropriate size hole making drill, and I usually click over here under vendors, and I'm just going to find one that's close to 0.3. So we're going to do a 0.5. Perfect. Select. We're going to turn the mist off, disable that, and we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to go here. We're going to select our geometry, which is we want to select one hole. So there's the hole, and then we want to select all the same size. And so now we've got 6 holes. And here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do deep drilling. I'm going to choose 0.05, and we're going to click OK. I'm going to ignore that, and there we go. So now I've got the smaller indices, and they will drill out. The last thing we're going to do, and for the sake of time, I'm not going to show you. The center hole is the exact same as the other ones. You're just going to choose a 2.4 millimeter drill bit. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to do the date window. So we're going to do a whole nother setup here. So new setup. And we're going to do the exact same thing as before. We're going to set our orientation, make sure we're keying off the center, and we'll talk about this in just 1 second. And then point box. Now the reason why we want to use the center is it's because it's a repeatable place that we can start and go from. Actually, we have 2 more processes because we've got to also cut the dial out. So we'll do that in just a second. And the stock is the exact same. So we want to have a repeatable place by which we can cut everything out so it's all symmetrical and cut the dial out. So if we always start in the center and we drill a small hole in the center, and what I do is I drill a small hole in the center, and then I turn the CNC off, I retract it, I pull the bit out, put the new bit in, lower it back down, turn the CNC back on, recenter it, and then I go from there. It's like the cheap way to do a center finding. So now we're gonna do a 2D pocket. I believe that's we're gonna do a 2D pocket. I am going to select the library here. I have found these nice little 16th inch end mills. So that's what I'm going to use. So I'm going to use this end mill to cut out this date window. Turn the flood off, Then we want to select, so this is where we select our geometry, and we're going to select the walls that we want. Actually, we're going to select the bottom like that. And then we're going to go here and maximum step over, multiple depths, maximum roughing step, and I usually on this one choose 0.05. Finishing step down. Sometimes it's happened. If it's red, then there's something wrong with it. I just had an extra dot in there. Alright. I don't want to leave any stock because I just wanted to cut the whole thing out. The way I do this is I will take a piece of aluminum and aluminum square, and I will super glue the piece of bronze, brass, copper, whatever onto it. And then once I do that, I let it sticks, and so I just cut directly into whatever the material is below me. It's just the way I decide to do it. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. It's going to do its little thing here, and that's what the pass looks like. So it's going to go in there, and it's going to cut that out all the way down. Now these are kind of weird. The way this pocket works is it's going to spend forever swirling down until it gets into the pocket. The way you can kind of fix that is if we go here to edit and we go to this linking tab at the end, we've got this lead in, and then we've got this ramp clearance height. So the ramp clearance height is how high above. So if I go and just put this down to 0.5 space and I hit OK, now it'll lower that so you won't have as much of it won't take forever for it to get into the pocket. So now we've got this set up, we've got that set up, and the last thing we want to do is to cut this thing out. So we're going to cut the 28.5 dial out of there. So I bet you can guess what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and do another setup. Right here, setup. And we're going to choose the same things as always. Go through this quick because you've seen it 5 times now. Boom. We're going to choose the box in the center right there, and we're going to click OK. Alright, we're going to get rid of the thing. Now, here is what we're going to do. We're going to go here, we're going to do a 2D contour, and we are going to use, I use the big end mill. Turn off the flood. We're going to choose this, we're going to click on this tab, which is the geometry tab, and we know we want to cut this here. Okay, so we're going to cut down to this line right here. And see close chain? I can remove that. If I click here, nothing happens. See, nothing, I'm clicking on this band right here. It doesn't care about that band. It wants to know you want to go down here. Now it's got that closed chain in there. You can add tabs and do sort of weird things in there where it'll keep, but this is just going to cut the whole entire thing off. So I don't want any tabs. I want to go here. I usually leave all this stuff the same, and I do the multiple depths, maximum roughing cut. Step down, I'm going to do 0.1. And final rough. And I'm going to click OK. And here we go. See, it's going to take a bunch of different cuts, and it's going to cut it all the way down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's going to cut that straight down from the top, and then that's going to be the end of it. So So I hope this helped you out. I had to figure out a lot of this stuff on my own and going through YouTube videos. Just be careful and remember that every CNC is different, so you want to make sure that you set it up with your own settings. Like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments.